Have you ever looked at an iconic building or bridge and wondered, who actually designed this? Was it an architect, or was it an engineer? Well, today we're going to settle the debate once and for all. Architect versus engineer. What's the real difference? Whether you're thinking about a career in one of these fields or just curious about how the world around you gets built, this video is going to break it down in a way that actually makes sense. First things first. Architects and engineers do work closely together. In fact, on most big construction projects, they're on the same team. But they approach the job from totally different angles. Architects are trained to think about how buildings look, how they feel, and how people will interact with them. Engineers are trained to make sure those buildings actually stand up, stay up, and operate safely and efficiently. Let's start with the architect. Architects are the visionaries. They're the ones who imagine what a building should be, not just in terms of structure, but in terms of experience. When an architect starts a project, they think about questions like, how will people move through this space? Where will the light come in? Will it feel open or cozy? How does it reflect the culture or purpose of the building? They create blueprints, floor plans, and often 3D models or renderings to help the client see the finished design. Their job blends art, science, and psychology. But it's not just about making things pretty. Architects have to follow building codes, zoning laws, and accessibility rules. They often coordinate with city planners, environmental consultants, and yes, engineers. Now let's talk about the engineer. Engineers are the reason the architect's design doesn't collapse under its own weight. If an architect says, let's have a glass walkway 50 feet in the air, it's the engineer who has to figure out how that's even possible, and how to do it safely. Depending on the project, you might have several types of engineers involved. Structural engineers calculate the forces acting on a building, gravity, wind, earthquakes, and figure out how to distribute those loads safely. Mechanical engineers design heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, better known as HVAC. Electrical engineers handle the wiring, lighting, and power systems. And civil engineers? They handle the infrastructure, roads, bridges, water systems. They're the ones making sure everything connects and drains properly. So while architects focus on the vision, engineers focus on the execution. Let's take the Guggenheim Museum in New York as an example. That spiraling, futuristic shape, pure architectural genius. But the fact that it doesn't collapse? That's engineering. Architects push boundaries. Engineers figure out how far those boundaries can go before something fails. So you might be wondering, do they ever do the same tasks? Well, kind of. Both architects and engineers use similar tools like CAD software. Both attend client meetings. Both read and create blueprints. And both are involved in inspections and site visits. But the way they think is fundamentally different. Architects start with the human experience. How will this place feel? How will it function for the people inside it? Engineers start with physical laws. How will this building hold up against gravity, time, and nature? It's like architects write the poetry. Engineers edit it for logic, safety, and structural soundness. Let's break it down even further. An architect might see a column and think, is this beautiful? Does it fit the aesthetic? An engineer looks at the same column and thinks, can this hold 40,000 pounds without buckling? Architects are trained to dream boldly. Engineers are trained to test reality. And that's why they need each other. If you're enjoying this video so far and want to see more deep dives like this, whether it's about cities, design, or engineering, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, it helps us out a ton, and you'll never miss a video like this one. Alright, back to the action. The road to becoming either a licensed architect or a professional engineer takes years of education and training, but in very different ways. To become an architect, most people earn a professional degree in architecture, usually a 5-year bachelor's or a 2 to 3 year master's. Then they work under a licensed architect for a few years before sitting for the architect registration examination. It's a long process, but one that balances creativity and technical knowledge. Engineers go a different route. They start with a bachelor's degree in their specialty, civil, mechanical, structural, electrical, and often take a licensing exam called the FE, or Fundamentals of Engineering. After gaining work experience, they can take the PE exam to become a licensed professional engineer. So while both paths are rigorous, architects tend to spend more time in design studios, while engineers spend more time in labs and math-heavy coursework. Let's look at some famous projects and how architects and engineers work together. The Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the tallest building in the world, was designed by architect Adrian Smith. But its record-breaking height was only made possible by engineers at Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, who devised an innovative Y-shaped structural system to reduce wind load and increase stability. The Sydney Opera House? The architect Jorn Utzon envisioned its famous sail-like shells, but engineers had to invent completely new construction techniques to make that dream possible. Even bridges, like the Millau Viaduct in France, are examples of aesthetic vision and engineering precision working hand in hand. In every case, you can't have one without the other. So, what about money? In the US, architects earn an average salary between $80,000 and $110,000 depending on experience and location. Engineers, depending on their field, can earn anywhere from $75,000 to $130,000 or more. Structural engineers and electrical engineers tend to earn toward the higher end, but salary shouldn't be your only consideration. Think about what excites you. Do you love art and design, or do you love solving technical puzzles? Do you want to shape the way cities look, or the way they function? If you're trying to decide between becoming an architect or an engineer, the key question is, what kind of problems do you want to solve? Architects shape vision, engineers shape reality, they're both creators, they're both problem solvers, and together, they build the world.